For years, the Tesla Semi was one of those products that seemed permanently stuck between the future and reality. Tesla showed the truck. Companies ordered it. Drivers tested it. But mass production always seemed just out of reach. Now, that story is changing. Tesla has begun high-volume production of the Semi in Nevada, and the company says deliveries are starting in 2026. But here's the bigger question. Is this simply another Tesla vehicle finally entering production? Or is the Semi the beginning of something much bigger, a serious attempt to reshape America's freight industry? Because trucks are not just another vehicle category. They are the machines that move almost everything. And if Tesla can make an electric Class 8 truck work economically at scale, the impact could go far beyond Tesla itself. The takeover may have finally begun. But whether Tesla can actually finish it is a very different question. The Tesla Semi has been in the public conversation for years. But there is a huge difference between demonstrating an electric truck and manufacturing thousands of them reliably. That difference is where Tesla has struggled. Tesla's own earlier manufacturing disclosures showed the Semi moving through pilot production and tooling stages rather than full-scale manufacturing. Now the situation is different. Tesla's Nevada operation is being expanded to become the company's first high-volume Semi factory. Tesla describes Gigafactory Nevada as a major manufacturing site for electric motors, powertrains, batteries and energy products and says the expansion includes the first high-volume Semi factory. That transition is the real story. Because Tesla doesn't need to prove that the Semi can move. It needs to prove that it can build the truck repeatedly, efficiently and economically. And that is a much harder engineering problem. Think about what a heavy-duty truck actually does. It doesn't spend its life sitting in a driveway. It moves freight. It runs long distances. It operates on schedules. And every hour the truck is unavailable can cost a fleet money. That means fleet operators don't necessarily care about having the most futuristic truck. They care about total operating economics. Fuel. Maintenance. Downtime. Charging. Range. Driver productivity. And ultimately, cost per mile. That's why Tesla's Semi strategy is so important. Tesla isn't simply trying to convince consumers to buy an electric truck. It's trying to convince businesses that an electric truck can make financial sense. And that is a much bigger challenge. Tesla currently lists two Semi configurations for the US market. The standard range version is estimated at about 325 miles. The long-range version is estimated at up to 500 miles. Tesla lists energy consumption at approximately 1.7 kilowatt-hours per mile and drive power of up to 800 kilowatts. The company also lists a gross combination weight of up to 82,000 pounds. But one number may be even more important than range. Charging speed. Tesla says the Semi can recover up to 60% of its range in 30 minutes using its high-power charging system, with charging capability up to 1.2 megawatts. That's enormous power. And it highlights something important about electric trucking. You don't necessarily need every truck to charge like a passenger car. You need charging to fit into the truck's working schedule. If a driver is already stopping for a break, and the truck can recover a significant amount of range during that window, the economics start looking very different. But there is a catch. Those numbers are Tesla's estimates under specific conditions. The company's published range estimates assume an 82,000-pound gross combination weight, 55 miles per hour, moderate temperature, and relatively favorable terrain and configuration. Tesla also notes that trailer configuration and other factors can significantly affect projected consumption. So the real test won't happen on a specification sheet. It will happen on highways. with real cargo, real weather, real traffic, and real fleet schedules. Here's where Tesla's approach gets interesting. The Semi is not an isolated product. It connects to an ecosystem. Tesla's system includes high-power charging, fleet management, remote diagnostics, and software updates. Tesla says its fleet platform can monitor vehicle data such as charge status, tire pressure, and energy consumption, while remote diagnostics and mobile service can help reduce downtime. That matters because fleet management is fundamentally a data problem. A trucking company wants to know: where is the truck? How much energy does it have? When does it need charging? When does it need service? How efficiently is it operating? And how much downtime is it experiencing? If Tesla can combine the truck, charging infrastructure, and software into one system, it could create an advantage that isn't immediately visible when comparing one truck against another. But again, this is where execution becomes everything. A brilliant system that isn't available at enough locations is not a brilliant fleet system. Tesla's biggest advantage may not be that the Semi is the first electric truck. It isn't. Other manufacturers have already entered the electric heavy-duty market. The advantage Tesla is trying to build is manufacturing scale. Tesla has spent years building expertise in batteries, electric motors, software, power electronics, and high-volume manufacturing. The Semi allows the company to combine those capabilities into a completely different vehicle category. And this is exactly why the Nevada factory matters. Tesla's stated plan is to establish high-volume Semi manufacturing there. Reuters previously reported that Tesla was targeting an annual production capacity of around 50,000 Semis at the Nevada facility, with the ramp expected to occur over time. That number is important, because even 50,000 trucks would still be a relatively small number compared with Tesla's passenger vehicle production. But in the world of electric heavy-duty trucks, that could represent a meaningful footprint. And more importantly, it would give Tesla a platform from which to learn. The Semi has already had real-world exposure. One of the most visible early customers has been PepsiCo. That matters because fleet customers operate under very different conditions from ordinary consumers. They can measure everything: energy consumption, maintenance, route efficiency, charging time, utilization, and total cost. Earlier production constraints created problems for Tesla's ability to supply enough trucks to customers. Reuters reported in 2024 that PepsiCo had received only a portion of the 100 Semis it had expected, highlighting just how difficult it was for Tesla to scale the program at the time. Now the question is changing. It's no longer simply, can Tesla build the Semi? It's, can Tesla build enough of them? Tesla is not entering an empty market. Electric heavy-duty trucks already exist. Manufacturers including Daimler Truck and others have been developing electric alternatives for commercial fleets. That creates a very different competitive environment from the early days of Tesla's passenger EV business. Tesla won't be able to rely on being the only interesting electric option. It will have to compete on economics, charging infrastructure, range, reliability, service, production volume, and customer support. And that may actually be good for Tesla. Competition forces the market to answer a more important question: which electric truck works best for the customer? Not which truck generates the biggest headline. The Tesla Semi has an obvious challenge: energy. A passenger EV can get away with a relatively small battery. A heavy truck carrying tens of thousands of pounds cannot. The more energy the truck carries, the more important battery cost, weight, charging infrastructure, and efficiency become. And that means Tesla's biggest engineering achievement may not be the truck itself. It may be making the entire system efficient enough to make financial sense. Charging stations need sufficient electrical capacity. Fleets need predictable charging. Routes need to accommodate the truck's range. Service infrastructure has to expand. And Tesla has to maintain production quality while increasing volume. This is why the phrase takeover needs a little caution. The production ramp has begun. The market takeover has not been proven yet. That's an important distinction. Tesla argues that the Semi can have lower operating costs than a comparable diesel truck because electricity can cost less than diesel fuel and electric powertrains require less maintenance. The company points to the absence of a diesel engine, transmission, and exhaust system as potential maintenance advantages. But fleet economics are never based on one variable. Electricity prices vary. Charging infrastructure costs money. Battery degradation matters. Vehicle acquisition cost matters. And downtime can erase savings very quickly. So the real question isn't, is electricity cheaper than diesel? The real question is, what is the total cost of running this truck for years? That's the metric fleet operators will watch. And it's the metric Tesla ultimately has to win. Tesla first unveiled the Semi years ago. Since then, the truck has moved through prototypes, limited deployments, pilot manufacturing, and delayed production plans. Now Tesla's own current materials say Semi deliveries start in 2026. Tesla also stated in its earlier 2026 outlook that Semi-volume production was scheduled to begin in 2026. And Reuters reported in April 2026 that the first Semi had rolled off a high-volume production line. That creates a clear shift. The Semi is moving from announced to produced to delivered. And eventually, the only category that really matters is scaled. The Semi is also important because of what it says about Tesla's broader strategy. Tesla isn't just trying to sell another vehicle. The company is building products around batteries, electric powertrains, software, charging, and increasingly automated manufacturing. The Semi brings those pieces together in a commercial environment. And commercial transportation could eventually become a powerful proving ground for Tesla's technology. Fleet vehicles travel constantly. That means every improvement in efficiency can potentially have a large economic impact. Every reduction in charging time matters. Every improvement in software matters. Every reduction in maintenance matters. And every additional mile of useful range can influence route planning. That's why the Semi could become more than a truck. It could become a platform. So is the Tesla Semi takeover finally beginning? The evidence says something more precise. The production takeover may have begun. Tesla has moved the Semi into high-volume manufacturing, with the company targeting deliveries in 2026. But a true market takeover requires something else. Thousands of trucks on the road. Large fleets relying on them. Reliable charging networks. Competitive total operating costs. High utilization. And consistent production. That's the part we haven't fully seen yet. And that's exactly why the next stage may be even more interesting than the launch itself. There are 5 things to watch. First, production volume. How quickly can Tesla ramp the Nevada factory? Second, real-world efficiency. Does the Semi consistently approach Tesla's published efficiency targets under demanding fleet conditions? Third, charging infrastructure. Can Tesla deploy enough high-power charging capacity to support commercial operations? Fourth, fleet economics. Are operators actually saving money over the full life of the truck? And fifth, customer expansion. Does Tesla move beyond a small group of early adopters and begin winning large fleet commitments at scale? Those 5 indicators will tell us far more than any launch event ever could. The Tesla Semi has spent years being a promise. Now it is becoming a production vehicle. And that distinction matters. Tesla has finally reached the stage where the question isn't whether the Semi can exist. It does. The question is whether Tesla can scale it. If the company succeeds, the impact could be significant. Not because electric trucks are automatically better. Not because Tesla automatically wins every market it enters. But because heavy-duty transportation is one of the hardest places to make electrification work. If Tesla can solve the combination of range, charging, manufacturing and operating cost, it could demonstrate that electric freight isn't just possible. It can be commercially competitive. But there are still major uncertainties. Production must ramp. Infrastructure must expand. Fleet operators must be convinced. And real-world economics have to match the promise. So the Tesla Semi takeover hasn't been fully proven yet. But for the first time, the path from prototype to mass-produced electric truck is becoming much more tangible. And perhaps that's the most important story here. Tesla doesn't need the Semi to replace every diesel truck overnight. It only needs to prove that an electric heavy-duty truck can win one fleet, one route, and one economic calculation at a time. If it can do that at scale, the trucking industry could look very different a few years from now. And the biggest question isn't whether Tesla has finally built the Semi. It has. The biggest question is how many can Tesla build, and how many fleets will actually want them. If you want more in-depth analysis on Tesla, EVs, AI, autonomous driving, robotics, energy and the future of transportation, subscribe to EV Insider. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think the Tesla Semi can actually become a major threat to diesel trucking, or will charging, cost and infrastructure slow the transition? Drop your take in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.